He's always radical in the Rad Industries Sun X Tools Mark IV GT Radial Toyota Supra. It is Rad Dan Burkett.
What is up, everyone? And we are live finally, and it's our first Thursday show, which is kind of a different vibe. I feel like we already got people. It's nice to see everyone already hanging out here, and we got some awesome guests here. Obviously, this is we'll start first with our regular Herbie here. Great to see you. Thank you as always for coming. We got new guy over. We got new guy Brandon the Gardner. I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it work. Just...
Let's get. We'll okay. Fine.
He's cutting it up, baby.
We'll do it, dude.
Yeah, he's cutting it
New
up.
thing. Yep. John
There you
Deere
go.
sponsor. Let's run it.
Outdoor
And-
days.
And then we got, of course, Radical Rad Dan. As always, again, thank you for being here. What's up, Malik? We got Cruise Lounge in here as well. It's good to see everyone here. I'm excited for the show. This is going to be a fun one. But to start off, obviously, huge thanks to Brandon for kind of joining the team here. Obviously, running 2 shows every week is going to be a little taxing on everyone. So it's good to kind of get some new people in that can come in every week and hopefully have some good discussions here. And I'm excited because we got Rad Dan in. So, Rad Dan, you have one of the coolest call names. I mean, I will say nothing really beats Travis Reeder, the Walmart greeter, but
that is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he loves that one. I wouldn't love that one.
but Radical Dan is honestly one of the most perfect names for a race car driver, and you've obviously turned it into a business. But where did Rad Dan actually come from?
The business. Okay, let's start with Rad Dan. That
Okay.
came from me making a mistake with a jack on a car, bending a radiator on an FCRX7, so it was shaped like a horseshoe.
Okay.
And then I was Radiator Dan for a day or two, and this was Justin Pollock and my friend Ryan Clemens naming me that. And then they're like, okay, that's too long. You can be Rad Dan. I was like, that's actually a great name. I'm going to run with that one. And if someone asks, like, I'm not ashamed. I'll tell you what I did. And that's where that came from. And I did replace the radiator and out of my pocket so that no one was upset and it was all good. That was, I think, 2009. And so then, yeah, that it sounds cool to you guys. You could say radical, whatever you want to do, but it did come from a mistake. The next, Rad Industries, that just came later, and that's Renee and Dan Industries. So Renee and Dan Industries.
That's so
not
cool.
quite the same, but it works, and you think it's the same. So, but it's different, but the same.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Same difference, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, you are, speaking of your business, I mean, you are the 2J guy that I feel like, at least if not one of the top 2J guys in America, I would say, you know? I mean, how many
probably in drifting, but like you got to think there's like lots of drag racing 2Js.
Those drag racing guys are a
But-
little
and,
bit.
like,
they're a different breed of like.
we
But
all
they don't last as long. You know, they're not
we
meant for
talk
banging
to each
women.
other, and
Right.
like you like take ideas from all the times 2Js have been being built and whatever, and then I came up with like the parts for a 2J to like beautify how the engine bay looked, and I think
Yeah.
I took that further than pretty much everyone else did,
Right.
Because I'm really weird about like OCD details on an engine bay, and
Yeah.
it's those parts have gone all over the planet to other 2Js, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
I never knew that would happen, but it did happen. It is happening, and it's been fun, and I'm
Well,
enjoying it.
It's fantastic to see, man. I mean, how many guys in FD, including like Pro Spec and stuff, run your engines, you think?
Probably not as many as you think. Maybe like
Yeah.
5 or 6 guys, but like
That's still a lot, though.
you'll get like, let's say Dylan Hughes, for example, does
Yeah.
his own engine, but he was like, "How did you do that?" And so I'll just like give him any of the information
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I could share with him. But if he wants to be hands on and like do his stuff, you know, he should.
Right.
But there was a point when we might have had 7 engines in there, and then it's sad to think, but like there is less 2Js in FD than there was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it is true.
I don't know. I don't really know exactly the amount I
Yeah.
have, but the parts are on. Anyone that has a 2J and FD has one of my parts on their car.
100%.
That I could guarantee that. Yeah.
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 Which is, I mean, it's kind of cool to
That's
see
cool.
just from where, you know, like how you can build a business, and now you're just literally on all your friends' cars, basically. You know,
Yeah.
And it's sick.
It's so cool. Yeah. And then if I come out with a new one, I could like send one of my favorite other drifters, just like give them a part.
Yeah,
And then it's on there and they'll post about it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I never would have thought that. Like, but yeah, I'm pumped doing it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I am curious though, what kind of made you want to start your own business? Because let's be honest, it's a big undertaking to do, you know?
I had no way to make it to FD. So I like drifting since I was in high school, and there was no sport of drift because I'm old enough that there was no sport of FD in America. And I would watch like on dial-up internet, I would watch Toge drifting of FCRX7 because that was like my favorite car back then.
Right.
That was what the car I had in high school was a Turbo 2 RX7. So I'd like watch these videos. I'm like, it'd be so cool. And then I ended up moving to California, and then the sport of drifting slowly started to like show its face in Southern California a little bit. And I was like, how would I pay? I can't like afford this because like the car builds weren't at the level they are now, but like you're going to ruin the car. I only had my daily driver. And so then I was like, drifting's not for me. So I like kind of just watched it and observed it. And then I would say like 10 years or 9 years went by. And then I was like, I better do this now before I'm too old. And so there was no way to afford drifting. So I was like, if I build my own car and I figure out how to do that, but I buy the tools to do it, and then maybe other people will ask me to do certain things to their cars.
Right.
So I was kind of doing that in my driveway, in my garage.
Yeah.
And then had my like side job as a valet, and then, or like my job as a valet, but I would do these 2 things at the same time. And then it just like kept growing. And then I was like, I guess I could start a shop. And it was not easy, but like that's just kind of the basic story of it. And it grew into what it is now.
Right.
But yeah.
What year did you move into your first shop as a business?
2013, and then it was quickly, and that was like a shared shop space, and it was quickly didn't work out because like there was too many people trying to. It was with Justin Pollock and another guy that did machine work, and like we butted heads, and it didn't work. Unfortunately, we tried to, and then so I left, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then it was like a month went by, and I found someone else, which was Alex Hilbrun, to partner with.
Yeah.
And he was like, build me these cars. I'm like, I'm in my driveway again. I can't build you these cars. Well, if like I help buy the certain tools you don't have, and you use your credit to get the building space, let's do it. I'm like, this seems sketchy. And it was like, it was sketchy. Like if anything had gone wrong, we would have been like belly up, you know, but like somehow it just worked out. And it was like a lot of work though. I'd like get there at 6:30 and leave like at 10 o'clock at night for probably 2 years. But then enough stuff happens and you keep getting more work and more work and more people, and it works out. If you care, it works out.
Exactly. Well, and eventually you get higher end builds that pay more, and then eventually that's obviously the end goal. You do less work for more money per se. You know.
But at the beginning you're scared. Like when you first start a business, you're scared to like
100%.
Say, "Oh, I'm worth this much." So you're always like undercutting yourself.
Yep.
Trying to, and eventually I learned like, "Hey, no," and I just would just say a price, and people would just accept it. I'm like, "What? Why didn't I do that all those years ago?" But like, you don't know till you just don't know. You learn as you go, you know?
Yeah. When did you realize 2J was the engine of choice? Like what kind of led you down that road?
Well, I had a Supra before I started trying to drift. So I had a 98 Supra in 2006 was when I got my first car.
Okay.
Or first Supra, I mean. And it was a street car, and it was like my baby, like the dream car I had always wanted, and I took it all apart and had a shop called Twins Turbo helping me do the fab work because I didn't have any like fab skills or tools at this point. And I'd spend every penny I had on this car, and that was also what held me back from pursuing drifting, I would think. At this, as I grew up, I like realized that held me back. But so I had an 800 horsepower Supra for the street in 2006, and I was 21
and
years
that's a
old,
lot
so
for
like,
back then. Like
and that's dangerous, and like somehow no accidents, never hurt it or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But like that, I was stupid, like got in a lot of trouble. Shouldn't have done. I should have built a race car and go to the track, but whatever. So that was where the love of 2Js came and the Supra. But that car was too clean. Like that, you can't destroy a black 98 6-speed Supra. So in drifting, so I was like, I got to pursue Pro-Am. And like, when the time came to pursue drifting, I bought an RX-7 to reminisce on like when I was younger. And I eventually put a V8 in it, got through Pro-Am, got second at Top Drift, and then was like, okay, now it's time to pursue Pro 2, which was like brand new at the time. I thought I would make it to Pro, but I had to do Pro 2. And that's when I found like kind of a worn out like chassis just that I could build to go wreck it drifting. And that is still to this day the same car that I drive, the same one.
Wow.
And so and the love of 2J was there before, but then as I just learned more and more as I would build my own cars and stuff and thought of parts and shit like that.
Okay, so obviously you had an 800 horsepower Supra. You said back in what, 2006?
Six. 2006.
So describe to me the technology change from an 800 horsepower Supra back then to what even.
Okay. So I had an AEM V1 ECU.
Okay.
I had on the first version of my Supra that had 800 horsepower, I had a Garrett GT42 turbo, which is massive, but like they didn't have the technology that they had now where it like spools good, so it's pretty leggy. I did have a Brian Crower 3.4 stroker. Immediately as soon as I had the money, I built that. So it had a 3.4 stroker.
Okay.
It had a built head. It was like I spent every penny I made on it. And it was like it was a cool build, but like really bad fuel systems, bad fuel lines. You had to run C16, no E85. E85. Really? C16 was $13 a gallon back then, which like now it's, I don't even know, but like now it's probably 20 something. And so I had two tunes. They didn't have a flex fuel sensor type of situation. So I had, well, you wouldn't because those are both like leaded gas. So I had like my one tune was when I pumped out of the barrel that I kept in my garage, or I would just run like pump 100. I had to put 100 octane was my low boost setting, which made 650. And that was like $8.50 a gallon or something at the pump. And where I lived in Orange County, there was like Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, and Orange all had a pump with 100, so I could like plan my route to drive my car. But like the car was like laggy, and the tunes sucked compared to now.
Yeah.
It had like
Like
its
what RPM do
issues.
you think the turbo was hitting at that car?
5. It was like 52.
Wow. Okay.
But it for a 21-year-old, it was
Yeah.
so much fun. And so I'd go down to PCH, and me and my friends, we'd call it exotic hunting, and we'll just drive back and forth till you find one. Like, and you just like whoop someone's ass with a way more expensive car, and then you're like this little kid looking over, you're like, ah, and they're just like, oh, like they wouldn't even want to look at you, but it made your day. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I did a bunch of dumb stuff with that car, but
It's
somehow made it out alive.
And now it seems like if you sneeze on a 2J, you make 800 horsepower.
Yeah,
It
it would be like a lot different nowadays, but it seemed good at the time, you know?
Oh yeah. So like obviously if I came to you and I want a 2J that makes 800 horsepower, what would be your setup then, you think?
It's like you could have like 10 different ways to do that, but
Okay, let's say I have a
basically-
factory 2J, what would you do?
you can't. Okay, factory 2J, I would say,
what
hey,
are you
sorry,
changing
that's
first, I guess?
beyond the limit of your main caps, like
Yeah.
your stock rods and stock main caps. That's you could hit on the dyno 800, but then like how many times are you gonna get a pull out of
Obviously
that
this isn't going to
bends
be a
the
drift
rods
car.
and
This
brakes?
is maybe some highway
Yeah.
pulls, you know,
So
like, or
you
something like
probably need a built bottom end to safely do 8 or 850 and like
that. Okay.
have it work each time. So
Gotcha.
you need like rods, pistons, main caps. And then if you're going to do that, you need probably just put cams and springs in it so that it benefits itself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I guess the other changes is like the 800 horsepower now is way different than 800 horsepower back then.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so much more like responsive and like modernized. Cause like back then they were like really low compression number. Like you would try and be like 9-1. But now you could do 11-1 if you choose to, cause like you could tune it correctly. And back then they were like, oh, the biggest oversized valves you can get and like the biggest porting, which all that does is make it leggier. It might make your top end better, but it's not gonna. The drivability just you lose your drivability there. But it's like they didn't know enough, and there hadn't been enough tries on different combinations and whatnot. So yeah.
Well, that kind of brings me to another part where you were pretty experimental. I mean, I remember seeing old videos from drifting like in 2005, 2006 of like there were like shop Supras that would drift, like shop main cars. I don't remember the shop of the video I was watching, but like it's not like Supras weren't drifting, but they weren't common, and I can't imagine I guess the parts for them were very abundant or even good per se. So like what was it like trying to make a Supra a Mark for Supra competitive?
I still don't think it's as competitive as it can be because I only had the money that I've had to put into it, and I get distracted on these tangents and don't like fixate only on my car and every penny into my car. But there was the angle kit from WiseFab. It's still the same one that I use now. There was rear WiseFab that it was never legal in FD until it will be this year, and I will be using it this year. So my car.
What was the rule it was breaking technically?
The upper control arm, which normally is like a Y shape, one, you know, it leaves the subframe as one piece and grabs the spindle or the knuckle, whatever you want to call it, with like one heim there, is now the WiseFab version is 2 straight arms, like, or 2 separate individual arms. And when it meets up with the knuckle, it's like 1 through bolt, and they're in the same location, but like they're stacked. So with like 2 separate heims, but a longer through bolt. And so Kevin didn't like that. And I had to like present him other ideas of like other chassis he had made exceptions for. And the answer was continuously no for roughly a decade. And I asked him several times last year and then presented ideas and then told him how much it costs to replace just a stock knuckle on a Supra at this point in time with all the pieces, and it's significantly more expensive than if I run Wisefab. And he's like, okay, I'll make the exception finally, and if you start winning everything, you're gonna get kicked out. I'm like, okay, like
okay.
I'm
So
like,
now I
don't
gotta
think-
throw.
I'm like, I don't think that I will like. It's gonna be like a 10% improvement is my take on it, but or maybe 15, but that doesn't mean like,
That
hey,
you can't
Dan's gonna be on the
start winning.
podium every time.
Right.
I need to be on the podium, and I'm going to get there, but it's like I don't know that that's gonna be the biggest change. But anyway, so he finally accepted it, so we'll see how that goes. But the deal with the Supra is like when it squats, it tries to toe out a little bit. So now it's not going to do that. So that'll be a big positive. And it's
That's
like
huge,
I was
yeah.
handicapped in a way this whole time. But so the back then though, like you were saying, like what did I have to develop and stuff? It's just you kind of had to make most of your own parts. There was the angle kit. There was, I mean, the 2J just bolts right in. There's a good engine, but
it's
Yeah.
big, it's heavy, it's like
it's heavy.
yeah.
It's a
How's
heavy car,
seating
so-
position? Is it pretty normal?
It's kind of a tight seating position,
Yeah.
and it's not the car you think is big, but it's only 100-inch wheelbase. But then like the inside of the car is not that big, and it does have like the overhang front and back that make you think it's a larger car, but it's kind of like a medium-sized car at this point. But like I don't know. I just had to keep like coming up with my own parts, and it's kind of like a hard road, but it was like my dream car growing up. So then I was like, I got to do it with this car. And then once you're in it with it and people like it, you not that you're stuck, but you're kind of stuck, you know. That's like who you are, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, it is such a unique car. Like nobody else competitively drifts one, at least in the two main series that I can think of.
No, 'cause
there's no one in Drift Masters that uses one.
I don't think it's the car to like an S chassis or an E36 or an E46.
Right.
By all means, is a better, easier to drive car, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, like, yeah, if you were gonna advise anyone on who wants to get into the sport, you're not advising them to go buy a Supra.
Never. Be like, dude, do not buy that car. There's like tax on it just to get the chassis. They screw you on that. And then like you need a steering rack. Good luck. They're
Really?
discontinued. Like have fun. And it's just that's how it goes the whole road with that car.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a body kit? Yeah. They all look horrible. Make your own. Like I made my own. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just it wasn't easy, but I had fun doing it so far.
Wow.
Damn.
And like you said, like you're having issues finding parts in Toyota, and that kind of brings me to one of my questions. I mean, there's just so many different ways to go, but 2Js obviously are an older engine platform. I don't know if there would technically be an arguably more efficient engine that exists now, in your opinion. But like, is that something that you're kind of looking to the future of like, hey, eventually we're gonna have to either start making our own 2Js, like our own blocks and stuff, or is this?
There is bound to be more efficient things in a 2J, but for reliability, and accessibility, it's Toyota still makes the short blocks, so you can still buy a new block. They still make the heads. There's 5 companies that make aftermarket blocks. There's 2 companies that make heads, and then any and every part you can think of, companies make for it. So it's like it's like an LS, you know, like the stuff's out there for it, so it's accessible. It's not the most efficient engine, but it's pretty damn reliable, and it does make good horsepower reliably. So it's still gonna keep fighting for a while. I kind of look at it as like think about a small block Chevy. Like it's been around since 1955, and there's some idiots that are still buying small block Chevys and building them. And you're like, why wouldn't you buy an LS at this point? But they want their small block Chevy. doesn't have as good of gasket sealing things, and it leaks everywhere. But they bought one, so 2Js will probably they're still gonna sell when we're over them, But like, I definitely think of moving on, not moving on from. I'll always love a 2J, but like,
Right.
my business makes most of its money off 2J related stuff,
Right.
and I need to evolve to the next thing. And I did buy that C7 Corvette with that in mind.
Okay.
Haven't really done much with that though, but
Right.
I mean, because the LT will be the next LS,
Mhm.
and Toyota let me down big time with the Mark V being what it is. It's not like like this.
So you're not a
evolved version.
B58 believer.
No, there's nothing wrong with a B58, but it's like if I bought a C7 Z06, I did not buy a Mark V Supra. That
Which
should
says a
answer
lot.
all your questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that says a lot.
Yeah.
To be fair though, the LTs are an interesting platform because obviously they're DI, but a lot of people, it seems like they're just making a port and they're making it work like that. So I am curious to see, because there is stuff out there, but I don't believe it's big yet. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
On the direct injection, not really.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there is. 'Cause you can make the power. I've like kind of read about it, but it seems like the easiest, most user-friendly, efficient route is to still just be like,
Go
all right,
port.
let's block those off and
Yep.
like do normal injection that's in your manifold. But like,
Yep.
I think it's based out of ease of like access to what they, like the tuner and everyone, because like, do you remember, well, how big are you guys into 2Js? Like, do you remember like 15 years ago, there was the VVTI and no one wanted to touch it. They're
Right.
like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah, it was always
I've read about that.
Yeah.
And you're like, but why? Like, that's the next version from this
Yeah.
company.
I
They
was
put
always a big
millions of dollars.
non-BBTI fan because I just liked the at the time I liked the look at their valve covers a lot better.
But like,
Really like
Okay.
a shark fin on the top, you know what I mean?
yeah, but like, it's better and it
It
drives
is.
better and all
It
this stuff.
really
And
is.
it's like, no one wanted to tune it at the beginning, and then it could be something like that with direct injection, and we're like
Yeah.
about to tip over the edge, and everyone will be like, oh, why did we even fuss with it? It's easy.
Right.
I don't know the answer though, but it does create other issues, but then there's positive. I don't know. You just have to.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that countless times where like, oh, like this engine didn't make really any sense until people started actually putting the effort in and making parts
Yeah.
for it. And, now it's like, look at it, like 2JZ is a perfect example, because like the engine existed for a long time before it really actually became a thing, like popular, I would say, like the LS pretty much immediately was like, okay, this is like the engine of the future. But like, I feel like the 2J, it took them, I don't know, when did the
to get swapped into everything, yes,
Yeah.
it took way too long.
yeah,
And if we were all really smart, we could have been buying them at like $1,000 and just hoarding them in our garage and then selling
Yeah.
them for so much. Oh my gosh, they were so cheap back then.
it's true, man.
Now it's an armor leg.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we
Get
got
like a true GTE.
Yeah,
It's insane.
way too expensive.
Yeah. The 6-speed transmissions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah. Sorry, Nick.
No, you're good. I mean, you guys can jump in whenever you want. We do have a couple questions in the chat, so I thought I'd get to a couple of them here. Malik
All right.
asks, how did you develop such a chill and laid-back attitude? I don't know if that's probably just you, I would assume, but...
I don't know. That's just me, I guess. But yeah, my voice is quite like monotone level
Yep.
the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Uh,
I don't know.
Did you grow up in California?
No, I grew up in Washington State, and
Okay.
I was homeschooled, and there's no good answer for that voice. I don't know. I just was like this my whole life. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned California. That's where you started the business, but you actually ended up moving it to Florida in the last couple of years. Just kind of tell me about like the process of doing that. Why did it happen? Like, what was all the stuff you had to go through just to do that kind of stuff? And because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so the business started in California,
Mhm.
and I'd moved to California to get away from Washington, where it's like kind of gloomy more out of the
Yep.
year than not. And
Mhm.
it's pretty Washington, California, same coast. I just was like, I'm going there to college and whatever, and it's sunny. And so when we started it in California, I was like young and dumb and didn't think of. I mean, I was like in my late 20s, but like you don't
Yeah.
think about all the things. And then as soon as you have a business, if you're doing it correctly and following the laws and everything, and like having the correct insurance, doing all the thing and like the permits and all the stuff,
Yep.
it never stops in California, and there'll always be a new one, like a new permit, a new like regulation, a new way that they can raise that one's price on you the following year, and you're just like, what the fuck? And like you start to catch up, or you
More
think you're
taxes.
catching up, and you will never catch up. It's always escalating at the same amount that like,
Mhm.
or it was, at least for me, the same amount that my business would be growing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the labor that you're paying your guys is like pretty crazy high, because they have a high cost of living themselves,
Yep.
and they never live close enough. They say they do, but they never do. And like they're always stressing to you because like they
Yep.
had this commute in crazy traffic. And like if you've lived there, you'd understand. If you haven't, just don't live there and visit there. And so I would say we had like 2 years in on the business, and we were just like stressing about each month's rent and whatnot, because the entire time I owned a business, I was trying to pursue FD or was in Pro 2 and leaving the business.
Right.
I was leaving to go on these trips to like
Yep.
Florida, Atlanta, wherever Pro 2 took you. And then
Yep.
2017, I made it to Pro. So, or 2016. So 2017, I did Pro, and like
Yep.
you're just like, I gotta get out. And so basically in 2017, I was like, I like doing this business that we're doing, but I need to find a way out. And like there was no way. If we would have left then, we would have just gone out of business. So then it was like from 2017 to 22, when we did move, was like the long game that we were playing, Renee and I, and like the planning of it. And we're like, how can we make it sustainable through a move? And the only places we looked at were Tennessee or Florida. And we get to go to Florida every year for Orlando.
Right.
And we're going to like Orlando Speed World. That's not anything great, but like we got to see Florida, and we're like, I like Florida. And so that was kind of, it was like a 5-year push that we like dedicated to do. And we had to start the website. We had to monitor the sales of the website to see like if we lost all our employees, which made us like labor money every, they get paid, we pay the shop rent, but like we're building cars for people, and like you charge for labor. And like if we lose that, how would we pay a mortgage on a house, or rented a house, or a mortgage on a building, or rented a building? And so after we had like 2 solid years of the website, like it was growing, it still is growing like the sales grow slowly, we're like, okay, we could do it. And then we like planned to do it, that COVID started happening, and we still made it happen. But
it sounds like a lot of work, because like you got to think like that's a smart way to go about it though, because the website is like, it's global, like
it could go anywhere, it can move anywhere.
Because as soon as you move that shop, I'm sure you lost a lot of your actual work, like your clients and
I just kept saying no, like it's over, and I wanted the car builds to be over completely,
really,
but there's 2 of them in the shop right now, so I guess they're not over. But like the website, like selling parts is so much easier than trying to charge for labor and coordinate and communicate with the human that's, hey, build my car for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of unknowns. When you sell a part, it's like, here, buy this water bottle. It costs
Yep.
this much. I'm sending it to you, and it's done. And
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many unknowns, like you said, when you're building a car, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
by the way, there's rust in this area. How do we want to
Yeah.
handle this? So like, oh, this is broken, and you didn't know about it. What do we want to do
Yeah.
about this? It's like, yeah,
Or
Yeah.
just like even when there's so many nuances with all that. When you
Endless-
deliver
it's
it, they come
endless,
and
yeah.
they come clap back at you and like, well, you worked on my engine, but my trunk won't close now. It's like, all right, dude, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
So-
Tony must have sat on it hard, I guess,
So I was like, we're done with car builds once we get out of California. But if it's the right customer
Yeah.
and they're an understanding customer it's also like if the customer has the money to do it, because
exactly.
lots of people would have like, when I would take anything and everything at certain points, and they would have like $2,000 or $1,500 a month. Is it all they could spend on that car? And you're like, well, like, but your car's got to sit at my shop. Like, so then
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to juggle all these different chassis and they don't run usually, and you're pushing them around, but you can't let it get wet. And it's just, I don't like that. It's too much.
Do you
100%.
only like complete builds now? So like big stuff?
That's what these two are that are here. One of them, I just said no, and he shipped me the car. And I'm
Nice.
I'm like, okay, but I built you a car before. You've got a lot of money, and you're a reasonable person. Like, fine, we'll do this. And it's a Supra, and so that one's gonna be a really amazing car. Probably the best Supra I'll have ever built to
Right.
date. The other one is like, I kind of just didn't want to do it either, and he shipped me the car while it was Saturday morning. We're getting ready to leave to go to Irwindale from our Airbnb, and a tow truck driver calls me. I'm at your shop to deliver a 350Z. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he sends me a picture, and I'm like, is that like, I'm like, that looks like this guy Alex's car. And I'm like, oh my God, like zero communication. You delivering a car from Texas. Cool. And that's car number 2. This guy also has the money to do it. So I'm like, well, and you don't really have a deadline, I'll accept it. But it's like, I don't love doing car builds anymore. I like working on my own cars and selling parts,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like
Yeah.
you said, it's so much easier. But you have the reputation. Obviously you do like engine builds though. So do you just build the engines and send those out, or is that how that kind of the business side of that business works?
I will coordinate it. I've only ever really built completely two 2Js.
Okay.
Where I did like the ring gaps and like piston to wall clearances and
Okay.
checked all. So I will just work with my machine shop, and we'll build bottom ends, and I'll usually have like anywhere from 2 to 6 short blocks just like wrapped up that'll be different recipes for different price points. And they're like in the shop right now, just like wrapped in plastic.
Okay.
And you hit me up, I need a short block. I'm like, okay, what kind of head combination do you want on that? And then I either send you a short block, a long block, a head, both, or a fully assembled everything.
Wow.
So that's where that comes from.
Yeah. It's a
I'm
little
not
bit
a
more
machine-
less, not necessarily less complicated, but a little bit. You control everything on that, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, and that makes a lot
And
more
if the
sense.
person was like, hey, I want to do it myself, I'm like, I'm not going to like withhold information I've learned. I usually
Right.
just share it with them. Like, I hope you buy something from me, but here's what I've learned,
Exactly. That's really
Yeah.
cool. What's like the highest horsepower 2J you've ever like built?
1200.
1200.
Because every
You're not-
customer,
Because you're
I
not
try
in
to
that
be like-
drag racing.
no,
Yeah.
I maybe, but no at the same time.
Okay.
So let's say you're the average dude that owns a Mark IV Supra, and you got it you probably didn't get it because you're a race car driver. You got it because think you're cool maybe,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you
yeah.
like the shape of the car. I'm not sure. I can't think for everyone, but they will say, because they've seen it, they've heard it done many times. I need 1,300 wheel horsepower, and you're like, okay, do you want it to be fun to drive, or do you want that number so that you can brag to someone? And
Right.
you like, if you have a consultation with them and you like walk them through how it's gonna drive and feel, almost every one of my customers I could talk into be like 1,000 horsepower or somewhere between 800 and 1,000,
Yeah.
because it comes into boost early, and it's like you're driving it on the street. Don't you want it to be enjoyable?
Right.
And also, like, probably you're gonna kill yourself with 1,200, even though it doesn't hit boost till 5,500. But
Yeah.
like,
When it
you're
does, it's gonna smack.
yeah, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
spoon off the yeah.
It's like, oh, there's the wheel speed.
That's
But
true.
the one with 1,200 had Motec, had traction control, and it didn't spin the tire. It would just like
Yeah.
dig in and just like slowly keep pulling harder as like it was allowing it to not spin
Yeah.
the tires.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, because like again, to me, 1,000 horsepower isn't. It's crazy to me that in today's world, 1,000 horsepower isn't even that crazy anymore.
It's
and like,
normal. It's literally normal now.
yeah.
It's just normal.
I mean, literally, GM just came out with 1,000 horsepower Corvette. It's like,
I know. It's
okay.
yeah.
Oh, now that's a cool engine.
That
okay.
yeah.
That's a
That
cool.
is that's a LT 5 or what is that? The
I
one
can't
with the
remember
two
which.
turbos.
Yeah.
5,
yeah.
I think, or 6.
It's like a 5 or 6. Yeah, I was looking at it the other day, and I'm just like, man, like you could get that and just put it in a car, like a drift car, and be like, done. It's done. Just leave
Right.
it.
Send it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally as is.
It's
Damn.
stock. It's done.
Yeah.
it's cool to see, what you can do with technology nowadays. I'm gonna hit a couple more questions here from the chat. Malik asks, what's the biggest influence for your livery design? And I personally love for one, I like your colors. I'm a blue and silver guy, so love the colors. But what's kind of the inspiration behind the liveries? Because they always look amazing.
Renee. That's all Renee.
Heck yeah.
So I get to have my comments that she'll come up with like a version you guys don't get to see, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that line looks weird or whatever, but
Yeah.
like, it's all Renee. It's
That's
all
so
Renee.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
She's all your graphics and everything, right?
She does everything. Yeah, Renee does way more than you think she does. So
Yeah, she's like the
yeah.
whole back end manager.
She's like has her fingers in everything. So without Renee, the Rad would be, different. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's got to help make the world turn, right?
Yep.
Malik also asks, what made you design your own body kit for the Supra? And you kind of already answered it. It was like, because you don't like...
2-3 things. Yeah, the average Supra body kit is like boxy in a way, and the Supra is
Right.
not.
Mhm.
And like, if you just looked at a factory Supra, it's like there's not a sharp edge almost anywhere. And
Bubbly.
so, yeah, you're like, how would you make it retain similar look but be like aggressive? And so that's what I wanted, but I couldn't afford a body kit at the time. So year 1 and Pro 2, I had like the Redox or Ridox body kit on there, and I had to make my own front fenders because WiseFab sticks out like 2.5 inches per side.
Okay.
So we made our own front fenders, and we said we were gonna make all the other pieces, but like you don't have enough money or time, and then all of a
Right.
sudden the race season was upon us, and
Yep.
the next year it was like our goal, me and my friend Chance that helped me do it,
Yeah.
that we'll finish the body kit and do everything. And oh my god, like, don't ever make your own body kit. Just don't. It was horrible, but we did make molds, and I have my own body kit now, and I could sell the kit, but I'm really picky. I barely sell it to anyone because I want it to just be my race car that has it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It is very nice.
Well, I mean,
But
It flows with the car, like you said, like you wanted. It just enhances its size a little bit, keeps aggression.
yeah. But
Yeah.
my God, don't ever build a body kit. Fiberglass is horrible. Ugh.
your car is not fiberglass though, right? It's carbon
Not
fiber.
anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's Kevlar now, like carbon
Yeah.
Kevlar.
Yeah.
It started with fiberglass, and then I was like,
Mhm.
let's do Kevlar. And then we ended up making doors that are also Kevlar. And then, yeah, I don't know. We had to make shit to make so that we could have it, you know, because
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
offered, you know.
100%. Celine Drift asks, do you think all of these rules about the chassis setup is relevant anymore? All right, let me
Yeah.
see if I can understand the question. Do you think all of these rules about the chassis setup is
I
relevant
think he was
any?
referring back to like how
Like
he
the
wasn't
rear
able
wise
to
valve.
do
FD
the
rules.
rear rise fab, yeah, all the FD stuff.
I don't know if I think like it should have maybe been addressed 5 years ago, because like
Yeah,
there's been so many advances in different chassis and different like
Yeah.
kits that come available for other chassis, not mine, but like
right.
so I don't think I don't think it would have affected anyone if I showed up 5 years ago with wise fab on
Right.
the rear of my car. But it just Kevin was set on that rule, and I
Yeah.
had to like show him like, hey, please understand this, and then he's like, okay, let's make the change.
Gotcha. Yeah, because there's a couple other unique. I think it's a Fox body has some special rules
Yeah.
for it and stuff like that. But obviously, we were talking to Robbins, and he has obviously a drift truck, and obviously those are not allowed at all in Formula Drift. And I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of interesting. Not that it
I
would
don't
be a
even
good
know
car.
if that's for like competitiveness. I think they just don't want a truck driving in their series.
Right.
And I think they made a rule based around whatever the rule says.
The
but
fact that it's not a unibody or whatever.
yeah.
Because of that. But like, yeah, it's interesting to see how they kind of try to pick and choose their way through everything. Because like FD is probably one of the more unique professional series where they try to accommodate as many cars as possible. But
And power plants and yeah.
so it's like,
But-
how do you do that but still keep it kind of competitive, kind of like real cars still, you know, like. Because like
Yeah.
it's not a stock car series, you know, like everyone's got
Yeah.
a car still. They're still cars. There's still like factory elements to them, even
There's just so much style in drifting still, even though it got real serious, I would say, in the last 5 years, like real serious. But
yeah,
I still think, because if it was not about style and it was strictly just what is the best chassis, wouldn't we all be driving the same chassis then? Because we know that
Yeah.
it has like this much more percent to like, but it's like it hasn't gotten that stupid yet. At least there's still some
Right.
style in drifting.
no, it's
'Cause,
true. I
like,
mean, people are still
yeah.
making like 40-year-old cars work.
I know. It's like, I love it. And like, I hope that it could still sustain for like another 10 years before it gets like so, you know, cookie cutter. And then it's going to get boring when it's like that. A little more boring, at least, you know?
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, there's also the challenges coming forward that I see are going to be parts availability for like steering racks for an S chassis or stuff like that where you kind of are supposed to be using OEM style stuff, not necessarily like S chassis steering rack, but you get what I'm saying, like the parts that are supposed to be factory and just trying to replace those when they are just getting harder and harder to find. And then
That's like same thing I said with the Supra rack. It's discontinued.
Yeah, so it's like how do you change the rules to make it so that you can still run something, but
they let you that one. That's you should have picked a different rule probably, but like because that one they do
they
let you convert like an S chassis to a front rack and run a
That's
BMW
right. Yeah,
rack.
yeah, they run the
So-
BMW stuff now.
But
Okay.
like, what happens when you can't find an S chassis subframe?
That's right. That was what
that
people
is
were talking
near
about. I
future.
forgot about that. Yeah.
That is so near in the future, and it's like,
Yep.
what do you do? And then does someone have to make like one company makes the one that Kevin approves maybe, and then
Yeah.
you have to buy this one, and like there should be an answer to it, but like we don't know yet till we get there, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's either that or start tube framing, and then it's like then
But
you unlock so many things.
everything. If you
yeah,
unlock that, that's like that would be ideal in some ways. The overall beginning cost of your car, I think, would be quite expensive, but then repairs and the car, you could just rebody the car. The car could
Yeah.
just go forever. So
right.
it would be a higher upfront initial get into pro drifting cost, but maybe you can just buy a chassis from this
Yeah.
chassis place. I don't know. That's when it becomes kind of NASCAR at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's like, what do you want to buy a dragster? You want to build a dragster? You buy a dragster from this company, and then you put whatever engine you want in it, and then you go do dragster stuff. Like, or like
Yeah.
any of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it would work a little bit like that. So I'm curious to see if we see, and I don't know if FD is going to be the first people to do that. I wonder if someone else is going to be like, okay, here's the most extreme form of what this motorsport would be, and then they try to make that work. Because
Yeah.
but I'm curious to
It
see.
could be, yeah, like Drift Masters does it first and then we follow. I don't know, but I don't know if I'll still be there when that happens, but maybe I will be. We'll see.
Maybe. I'm hoping. So let's see. What's the Malik asks, what's the best part, or best selling? What's your best selling part, and which country receives the most of your parts? Not including America, because obviously I think America's.
Yeah. America probably is our highest selling. So it probably was the water inlet alternator bracket. That's the first part I made.
Okay.
And that's the one that like brings water in to the 2J and then
Yeah.
like deviates around the like plastic covers in the front. But thankfully China copied me and now someone makes that for way cheaper. I'm being sarcastic, not thankfully, but
Yeah. Right.
God damn it, Alibaba.
it's like so annoying. You put all this like effort into designing something and someone copies it and then makes it shittier, looks shittier, the like everything
Yeah.
about it, and then sells it 30% less. So
Yeah.
those used to be our best selling. I don't think they quite are anymore.
Yeah.
But what country? It's hard to say because America's the best. Then you sell a lot of stuff to Norway, Dubai,
Really?
Thailand,
Dude, they just and they just sit on the limiter the whole time.
Singapore,
Singapore, huh?
Australia, a little bit to New Zealand. Like, I'm missing like 5 or 6 countries, but like
Yeah.
every single week we are sending like 30 packages internationally or more maybe.
Wow.
But like a lot of people in these Asian countries are buying, and like, what the heck? But it's probably because they don't have V8s there, right? Like
Yeah.
2J's a
Yeah.
main thing there, and same with like Dubai, Norway, Finland, Sweden. Like parts go to all these. Like they go to Germany.
Yeah.
Every European country that has drifting has bought our parts.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
That's
that's
really cool,
probably
though.
what I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'd run an international business at this point,
If there was no, I'd say it's 50% of our business.
Wow.
Literally,
That's
yeah.
really cool. I mean,
it's really crazy.
and
It's
now,
just like what? Okay.
Good.
yeah, and then the fun part was just trying to figure out how to ship and make money still on it when you're shipping it that far.
You have to ship it, and it's so expensive, and you feel like you're like, you paid what to get this part, and you literally feel guilty, but you're like, well, that's what the shipping was. Okay.
Yeah, they hit okay
won.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Damn.
cool. Let's see. We got some more questions here. Phil asks, he had a
Would
question.
you ever drive a different chassis?
Yeah, so I've thought about it for the last 4 years, probably harder than before, because you get mad at your car if it doesn't give you what you want, and you're like, I can do this. and I think that is going to change this year because I got to switch to rear wise fab. I'm also gonna try and do 2 other things like to the power plant to do like more nitrous so that
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and make it have 100 more horsepower than I've had in the past years.
Okay.
But yeah, so other cars, I like the way only a couple other cars look. I'm very picky with cars. It has to like look good from every angle if you rotated it on a rotisserie or whatever.
Yep.
And the Mark V Supra is not that for me at all. It's
Wow, because
missing.
I think that car's beautiful. That's crazy.
Look at it from like the back angle at the hip of like it's not it's missing some hips there, but maybe you don't think that.
But that's
Anyways,
why Peter Visick put those really cool flippies on his.
his looks a lot better than the factory one, and so does Frederick's. Like,
Yeah.
but Frederick's it might be, or Peter's is my favorite one, but like I don't think I like the HGK kit. But C7 Z06 is like the next car I look at. I'm like, I like you from all angles. Would it give me the same excitement to walk up to it when it's parked in line on the grid and I get to get in my race car and it's not a Supra? No, it's not a Supra with my body kit, but like
Yeah.
I could do it if it could get me carbon fiber trophies, possibly. But I don't. That's like that's a big undertaking.
Yeah, that's a big
Another
thing down the
car
line.
build.
And like, there's
Yeah.
not a ton out there for them yet. And I'm really curious to see. We just literally were talking to TLO on Tuesday, and
Yeah.
he's bringing a C7 to Pro.
yeah.
So
I
it's
talked
gonna
to him
be
about it. Yeah.
it's gonna be really interesting to see how competitive, first of all, that
Well,
chassis is, and
If you like look under it, it's almost a C6. Like,
Yes.
And a C5 is almost a C6. C6 is almost. They're like, they
Yeah.
did like the little 5-10% improvements on like how the chassis works, but.
yep,
You're saying the parts aren't quite there for it yet. The steering racks in a C7 are electric, and
Yep.
it's like so. There's a lot of
he's switching, I believe, to a C6. If I was
you can do
remembering, yeah.
that. Yeah. So there's I don't know that would be that if otherwise I like the way an Aston Martin DBS looks, which that's not obtainable. So
Right.
that's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're, gosh, who's the guy that did bring?
DB9,
Yeah.
pretty similar.
Yeah.
DB9 instead of
Yeah,
DB.
same thing. Like, but
Yeah.
are very similar shape. That's not happening. So
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is.
Shoot, that's funny.
Yeah.
Malik, as what's your proudest moment in pro spec or pro 2? You weren't in pro spec. You were in pro 2.
Probably just certain battles I've won, but like since I've never made it to the podium, I'm still frustrated about that. I'm just excited that I was able to like make more money than I spent in FD, and I don't think a lot of like
Dude,
from sponsors.
That's
and I
so
don't
rare.
think many people
Accomplishment.
can say they did that.
Hell yeah.
And then
That is-
my
that is
business,
proud. Yeah.
my business makes me money also from showing up to FD. I sell more parts, so it's not a track proud moment, but my proudest moment will be in 2025 when I'm holding a carbon fiber trophy.
Right.
Damn Skippy.
Well, I mean, that was one of the questions I had was like, so it does benefit you to go to Formula Drift then for your business. you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, maybe I could be like hustling on like social media and
Yeah.
not be at FD because I had previously been there, but you're gone long enough, you'll fade away, I would think,
Right.
unless you're gonna make some noise and make some content somewhere else. So, and I love drifting, so I'll continue to come back to FD until there's no money to come back.
It's hard to beat the feeling of competition too. I mean, like if
Yeah.
you're gonna drive, it's like you might as well do it also for like bragging rights. Like,
So much fun. It's so challenging, and it's always evolving at the same rate you thought you got better.
Yeah.
It also got better, and you're like, oh my gosh, like come on. So it's like it's very challenging, and I love that part of
Yeah.
it. But I
So
would like to have gotten some trophies, and I have not yet. So we're
Yeah.
gonna get some.
Well, I mean, so you took was it a 2-year or 1 year break? One year
One.
break. 1 year break. And so kind of talk to me about doing that and kind of was that helpful for you? Was it helpful for the business, or was it just
That was after
frustrating?
your move, right? You did the move,
Yeah,
and then
so
you
we
took the.
moved
Yep.
April of 22,
Mm-hmm.
and
I was there for like your send off, dude. I
yeah,
felt honored.
and that was cool, yeah. And then I like we finished out 22 in FD, and at the end of that year, we learned that Gear Wrench was like gonna fire people. They were laying off like 70 employees. They weren't gonna re-up our sponsorship, and that was like our biggest monetary. And so then we're like, okay, and we had some leads. Like we were like, well, we got to figure it out. Like find that money somewhere else. And we had some leads that were gonna help us get back with a different sponsor, like a different,
Yeah.
title sponsor, and it like almost worked when it didn't work. And so when it all came down to making the decision, which was like mid-February of 23,
Yeah.
we had like some companies that were still supporting us, and we're like, we don't get to do FD. And like I think only one changed what they could do like financially, but it wasn't enough to cover FD. And I had told myself, once I had broken through the barrier of not paying for FD on my own, and like Renee and I would like have a chunk left over or like break even type of thing,
Yeah.
we're like, we're not doing that again. We've already lived the life of being in debt on your credit card and killing yourself to do FD with no real big reward. So then that was the decision maker for 23 not going.
Yeah.
And I tried, like, if you're wondering if it helped the business or whatever, you give yourself all these goals that you're going to do, like, and you can never quite accomplish all of them. But we were like, we're going to do more parts on the website and all these things. And we did some of them, but then it was also my first year in 9 years that I had like not had so many deadlines. So it was like I got to like live life a tiny bit that year.
Yeah.
So it was fun, but
Saving lives
was-
on the airboat and
on the
everything.
airboat, had fun and like exploring Florida, and like we went to like Hyperfest and Grid Life, and
Yeah.
we did other stuff. And I did that Riverside Drift, and then actually won that one of Riverside Drift. And so then we were like, okay, all we think about is missing FD. And I had gone to Orlando, and I was like, watched it. I'm like, I can't watch this. Like, I need to be there doing it.
Yeah.
And I have the car, I have the shop, the trailer, the truck. Like, we can't just like, it's not like we're going to just sell that stuff. So then we're like, okay, figure it out. And then we somehow pulled it together, and we figured out how to come back.
Do you think taking that year off, like from like a driving perspective, because you were saying before, like each year you get better, like in FD, and then you come back to FD and everyone else gets better. Do you think not doing FD like competitively as a competitive driver, you kind of got under that curve coming back?
No, like I drove more like, not, what would the word be, with like zero care for my car that year in 23. And I was like, everywhere I show up to with my car, I'm gonna just door these people and like push myself beyond a comfort zone that I was like holding back for probably the sake of how the outside of my car looked. And then if you guys have watched me closely over 5 years, tell me how beat up my car was last year in FD.
It definitely
The
got
mo-
well,
The
poor old
most beat
Irwindale.
you've ever, well, Irwindale doesn't count. Prior to
Irwindale.
Irwindale, it was all self-inflicted by me, and I was just getting in on people.
all the tire marks. You look like a NASCAR driver out there. Dude.
I tried to push myself in 23 beyond the comfort zone, so that when I came back, because I was like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna get my first podium in 24. And I tried, but it just wasn't meant to be. But like, I could feel how close we are in certain scenarios. It might not be like the whole event, but like certain battles and certain runs. And I'm like, so if I can get the car to do exactly what I would like it to do when I'm telling it to do it, which it's not 100% there, I think I'll get the podium. And like, I don't think I got worse in 23. I think I just had to like step back,
No.
think about it, and like give myself new goals because there was like less pressure or no pressure that year,
I thought you
basically.
did incredible this season.
Dude, you had
Yeah.
some
Thank
you had
you.
some
I
fun
tried.
battles this year.
Yeah, man. I think you
Let's
just, some of the battles it was just like, damn, like of course he's gonna go against this
Yeah.
guy, or
It happens, but that's
and then
that's
it's
why
like
it's
this,
fun to
that, the
go
other
because
thing.
like
But like that's something it's like, fuck you really right there. Like when was your first year of Pro 2? I don't remember.
2015,
Okay.
and the car has every year gotten 10% better because
Yeah.
like just kind of sucked at the
Technology
beginning.
goes in hand, and then like
Yeah.
you learn, and then it's like, oh, this new part comes out, like all these things. So yeah, and you're the only one using that chassis, pretty much.
And
So
I probably was hard-headed and like didn't do something I should have done earlier years because like I'm like, well, that person doesn't drive this car, so I'm not going to take their advice. And eventually you do make the change. You're like, why didn't I do that 2 years ago? So like, I don't know. I don't do that anymore. I just take everything in and I'm like, what's the best solution and trying to take anyone's advice. But yeah, this year good things are going to happen.
yeah,
Hell yeah,
hell
dude.
yeah.
Malik, so this is kind of a broad question, but Malik asks opinions on tire regulations and drift specific tires being developed and used in other series. I guess the main question is just kind of, I think it's cool that tire companies are now making drift specific tires. It's kind of shown the
Yeah.
growth of the sport.
We don't get the good ones in America, but
Really?
yes.
So is that what he's
No,
talking
like
about?
I think so. Like if you take like it'd be like a cheater tire that you would get to run in like Drift Masters, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The cars would be so hooked up that like I don't think like chassis setup matters quite as much over there as it might
Yeah.
in America because we we do have good drift specific designed for drifting tires, but they aren't a cheater compound. Like
Yeah.
it's still like a traditional 200 treadwear. So they're kind of similar between
Yeah.
brands and like it chassis setup 100% matters still in FD because
Okay.
the cars are not hooked up so far that like you just have to be in the gas the whole time. You can probably still pedal it,
Mm-hmm.
on most every car.
Yeah.
That
I don't know
was
if that
that. Who was
answers this
just saying
question.
that? So on Tuesday, right?
Another
About
person was saying that.
Yeah, saying that compared to Drift Masters, that it depends on your chassis setup more in FD than they believe that it does in Drift Masters. Yeah, and I think that's where like also that opinion or like that argument of
well,
that Drift
Adam said
Masters
that
drivers,
too.
yeah, but like that Drift Masters drivers are like better in the top 32. Like who was it that we were just talking to that said this? Why am I pulling a blank? We talked to too many people now.
I know, but like,
I've never got to drive there, but I just like talk to other drivers that have, and then you watch it and you could see that the car will be so hooked up they'll barely kiss an outer zone like the edge of the box sometimes, and you can hear the engine fully loaded and you're like he's fully pinned and he barely it's like his car's driving him inward because the tire it has to be the tire because you're like there's that car if you brought it to FD and put our tire on it wouldn't be that competitive,
yeah,
and you're trying to like reason through it, and this I might be wrong but that's my thought on this.
exactly, and they can be lighter, I believe, over there too than these cars.
Oh, I didn't think of that also.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, so
Yep.
they're lighter over there too. So they're technically faster cars, but yeah, these over here, I think it's a good what they do in FD. I think is a good balance.
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't
sport.
dislike it. Yeah, I like it because
Mhm.
it keeps us all kind of competitive with each other, I would think.
Yeah, and I think Kevin does a really good job at trying to balance weight with size of tire you can use, because that
Yeah.
is like it's a really interesting theory, and I'm excited for like a guy like Odie, for example, who's gonna probably try and test the theory a little bit, because you got a guy like Dan
Yep.
Stuckey he just made the lightest car you can and run the
Yep.
smallest tire, and like you can tell his car drives way different than say like a Mustang. Just
Yep.
because it's way twitchier, or not, I don't know, twitchier, but just snappier and
Yep.
like nimble. but like obviously you got the tire size of on a Mustang that you can just eat.
I know. And I don't think Dan put as much development as Odie would into it, but I don't think Odie's doing it this year. I think it's the following year.
Is
If
it?
he
Okay.
likes it, it's going to be the following year.
Interesting. It would, yeah.
Because I think he needs like his data. He's like Odie's like very data based, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it would be really interesting to just see like a apples to apples comparison with his cars, for example, because it is an interesting theory. You know, like maybe some track would be better for a lighter, smaller car, or a lighter car, smaller tire than like a probably like a New Jersey would probably work. You
It
know?
might be, yeah.
You know, because I don't know. It's just something that really fascinates me. Malik also asked with the it's funny, we were talking about this before the show. He's like, with advancements in sim drifting over the years, have you incorporated sim in your off-season training?
Unfortunately, I have not, because I don't know. I can't get motivated to drive the sim. I have a sim. It's probably a decent one, pretty nice one. I don't love the way it feels. So no, I have not. I have like 10 hours total ever on my sim.
Yeah.
And I've had it for 4 years.
It's weird because I know a guy that could possibly help with that. I don't know.
I know. I see him around here.
But this is actually an interesting question from Phil. Is there, and I want to ask this one specifically about 2Js. Is there any new tech that is changing drifting that's come out in like the last 3 years that you think is like a big game changer?
I think that there's like a ton of small things that I don't
Right.
think there's one thing I can think of that's like, oh, if
Well,
you
like give me
didn't
some
have
examples, like of like what are some really cool new products that have been coming out for 2Js?
that. New products. Oh, for 2Js.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think there's a whole lot of that. There's been like, it's just like tuning and techniques and tuning and how
Okay.
you can like do stuff with your nitrous and stuff like that. That like the more you learn, the better stuff works. But
Right.
I am not the team with the biggest budget, so I don't know if I would have
Yeah.
access to everything that may have been out there
Right.
previously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there like a product in the last 5 years that you've started to incorporate into your 2J builds that you haven't before, or like, or anything that's just kind of sticks out? You're like, hey, this was a cool, like obviously when you created your first product that you were talking about earlier, like that's something that you
Yeah,
made.
that's not gonna change the performance of the car. That's
Right,
gonna,
but
like,
but like for example, like how many cars struggle with keeping belts on, for example?
okay.
Or like,
So like the power steering kit, yeah,
yeah, so
that
like,
I first had that in 2016, and that actually I take that back. That is the most selling part ever.
oh really?
The power steering kit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think Bystrike runs that.
I think that might be that continuously sells every single week. That sells, but
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
me and someone else made another version of it with a Bosch power steering pump to make it cheaper or more obtainable.
Yeah.
That one doesn't sell. They always want the one that has all the different jets, the KRC one, so they can have different feel of the steering, and that. Yeah, that's the good selling part. That helps, but that didn't like change the game or whatever. That just helps you have an efficient, like reliable setup.
Right. Well, like that, I would say that changes the game. You know, like it makes drifting way much more reliable. Because like that's always been the challenge. Is like how many times were people blowing lines and steering pumps apart and racks, and it's just like those are just, they may not be big things to you, but they're super important if you want to go drive a lot. You know.
True. Yeah.
And speaking of power steering pumps. I don't know if you've seen much on Matt Field's new C8, but do you see it was like can controlled, like front?
That is how like the C7 is too. It's can controlled.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
and I had done
but his is hydraulic, I believe. Still.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I had done a Lexus IS350 that we 2J swapped, like a 2014 one or something.
Yeah.
And it had can controlled and we put Motec in this car,
Yeah.
and it was like a big pain in the ass to build this car, like all complicated. But like it was controlled by Cam. It was like I was just thinking like I hope this never comes to drifting. Because like it's just like another complex thing that could go wrong, you know?
Exactly. You know, it'll be interesting to see like that Matt's new car is just a complete tech
Yeah.
thing of like there's so much on it. I'm just like, good luck, buddy. It's gonna be cool, but like, there's so much can go wrong
that's
too.
why he'll give himself, you know, like a test year, and
Yeah.
if it's not the main thing that he loves, he'll be like, you know what,
Yeah.
this is a demo car, a really cool demo car.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Still
Yeah.
a good selling point for the sponsors. Makes
heck
all the
yeah.
cool noises, looks good.
Yeah.
That
It
would
looks
be the
crazy. It's like a spaceship.
thing.
It was
It
the first
sounds
C8
like
that
a
I
spaceship.
I'm like, wow, that thing's sick.
It's so wide. I'm like, how does that go in a trailer? How?
No, I can't imagine what it's gonna drive like that. That's what I want to know. The weight distribution. I'm so fascinated. Like,
Forward.
yeah, it wants to go straight.
Great.
Did he say it was 56 rear and like something like that, or 54?
I think so. Yeah.
I think
It's,
so.
56
Dry.
rear.
There's
Yeah.
no liquids in it either.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But the fuel cell, I believe, is in
Oh,
the
wow.
or no.
So we might get it to like 55, 45 or something, which it might be fine then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really wouldn't be too bad, honestly. As
Yeah.
long as
It
he
might
stays
be
away
fine.
from 60.
Yeah. Or he's gonna run some like HPY tires on there because it has too much.
Let's go. 100 psi. Send it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Phil asks, favorite person to battle and least favorite person to battle. And maybe this is a better way to answer this question. Robert Thorne made a very interesting comment to where he said his car, his BMW, drives better with certain cars and then worse with others. So for example, his car drives really well against the RTR cars and then doesn't drive well against Forsberg's 400Z just because they brake and accelerate in different areas.
I don't love battling Forsberg, but I would say my favorite, because he does. I don't think it's the car. I think he sometimes brakes, but
Yeah.
it's just a stop. It's not like on purpose though. He's just drives different.
Yeah.
I don't love driving with the Mustangs either. They're so big and they pivot. Like I'd say that's probably my least favorite to drive with.
Really?
Because they're very fast and they have grip in areas that you wouldn't have, and then they pivot like
And
It's
that pendulum's
awkward.
just gonna.
it doesn't make sense the
Yeah.
way that my favorite person to battle is probably gonna be Dylan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just fun to drive against Dylan.
Granted, his car sounds amazing too, so it's like it's just a symphony.
But it's not that, but yeah. I like driving against Adam as well, because like
okay.
both of them will just go as fast as they can go. And if you decide to bump them, they're going to keep driving.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I guess Matt would be like that too. But Matt will do things on the brake sometimes. I'm like, what was that? But these are not intentional. Like, we're not saying this negatively. It's just
Right,
how
yeah.
that car drives or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe I do that to someone else and they would say that about me. I hope not. But it's fun to drive Dylan because you could just bump him and like get next to him and he just keep going.
You definitely you guys have like a style of driving of just like fun. Like
Yeah.
obviously you're out to win, but like you could just tell that you're also like you hold that style true. You're not just going out and just filling the zones. Like you have a little like uniqueness to each one of you.
Well, I feel like
Yeah.
you throw your car really hard, and it's probably because that's how you have to drive it.
Well, the initiations are sick.
It has a lot of side by like with the
Yeah.
GT especially.
Mhm.
So and it's fun to drive it like that. And if I don't do that, Renee's in my ear like, "Hey, what was that initiation?" So like she is like
It's like I'm trying to go faster. Okay, give me a break.
in my ear like, "Fix your initiation." Like she's just which helps though.
No,
Like,
it's
you know?
true.
She's got a taser on the handbrake for the first 2 seconds of your run, so that way you don't touch that thing.
Don't touch it.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, Big D's got it's more of a comment, but he says I think the touch and go style zones in Drift Masters allow for more throwing the car into the zone and style of driving instead of the long zones that they have in FD, where you set the car in a pocket and then just drive through the pocket. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. They have zones in Drift
But
Masters,
it's like their whole thing is snappier, huh?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. No,
it
that's true.
definitely is. Yeah, lock to lock, more style.
Yeah. Phil Sylvia asks, would you think it would be a good idea if FD reduced all tires by one size? For example, RTR is running 305 and set at 315. I don't know, because the hard part is then you'd have to kind of like, because I feel like going down in tire size isn't the same each level, if that makes sense. Like
Probably
it
is
gets exponentially
not.
harder the smaller the tire is.
I think as long as we can ride this out, let's run the fattest tires that we can. But if they did change the rule, I'm gonna keep showing up. But I like the biggest tires possible, please.
All right, that's sick. I mean, it helps with lasting for 2 laps.
Yeah, and it's also that much faster, that much sketchier, that much more grit. I don't know. It's just, if it has to come to an end at some point, it comes to an end. But like, let's ride it out as long as we can.
What's the scariest track to drive?
Irwindale.
Really?
Because of that second
transition.
wall.
Yeah, that second wall.
I mean, you had a lovely experience in this last one. But
that wasn't
great. Your fault.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. But like that, you sign up for that. That could happen. Irwindale is scariest right there, and then I mean, Long Beach is not the most fun track to take your car when it's a freshly refreshed car, but because you could smack it in. But like, you're not thinking about any of that. You're never you're just out there like focused on your line and like but if it was your first year, Irwindale is the scariest track, and it's no longer there, so I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, it is. I've always found it crazy when I'm filming you guys coming straight at us. I'm just like, you guys are going really fast.
Yeah,
it's so much fun. Like, you have no idea. It's so much fun.
I did love that media pocket, and it always blew my mind that we had that media pocket, but then we can't stand certain places, other tracks.
But we could stand there.
We are right into the fire. I'm like, I ain't saying nothing. I like this place.
What's your favorite track?
It might be, it's like a toss-up, either Atlanta or Washington. Irwindale is one of my favorites also. Like, anywhere where you're going really fast, that's gonna be my favorites.
I've always thought Atlanta is a tricky one. Just because it's a drag race up the hill, then you slam hard on the brakes, and then the chase has always been like, you're also fighting smoke.
You will never have a good chase. There's never ever a perfect chase there. Like, think about that next time we're there, and it's like, there's no way to just get locked in and stay. You cannot, because it's like, it's just dangerous, and they can't judge it very good. But the leads in Atlanta are so much fun.
Oh yeah.
The chases, they're sketchy, and you can't see, and you think you're gonna die the whole time, but like it's like, especially back down the hill to like go up towards you're like, please transition at the right time, and you like come through the smoke, you're like, yes, because like it just suck you into that wall. Like, people have done it.
Plenty.
There's always a couple every year, honestly.
There is
all the walls the past few years.
That sucks. That you see that, but it does happen.
Or the last year prospect spin out of all time.
Remember the Oh,
was
do
like
you
lap after
remember
lap,
like
they just
years
kept
back there was a guy with a FDRX7. He just head on into that wall. Do you
Yeah.
remember
Oh
that?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then
That's so
we
bad.
never to be seen again. I'm like,
Nope.
what the heck?
Hey.
You just it's it? You're done?
I felt bad
Yeah.
for the one last year. It was his debut, or yeah, right? They did Atlanta last year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was his debut, first one out. He's a ripper at like the gamblers and stuff. Comes down the hill.
River
And
Root,
yeah, and
right?
his
That was
brakes
2
gave
years
out.
ago, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
2 years
slammed
ago.
into
His
Casey
brakes
Cole.
gave out. He just
He
Abs-
hit
Yeah.
that same wall?
No,
no,
he
he
hit
just
No,
ran right into Casey.
Casey
Right
Cole.
there,
That was 2
coming.
like
years
on
ago.
initiation.
Oh,
Literally,
Casey was so upset. Yeah,
I
I
felt
remember
Yeah.
so bad. I was like, damn, I like both these guys. Like, they're
that
both
one
good dudes. I'm like,
sucked.
he literally just yeet and then straight and like, all right, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
See, but we sign up for that when we bring our car out there. So,
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Dan Stukey's pretty brave bringing his car out. That thing is so beautiful. I'm like,
Yeah.
Well,
like,
it's like,
jeez,
you
brother.
He
got
heard it a
S15,
lot.
You
Yeah.
got Supra guy. You got
Yeah, I mean, even your
Ferrari
car.
guy.
I mean, it's just like, oh, they're such pretty cars, but it's like, it's what you guys do.
Yeah, it happens.
Hmm I'm just trying to go through all
Would
of the
you ever
comments here.
run a different style of raise, Danny A?
Oh, yeah, I would. But so the deal with Rays is they pick what I run.
Okay.
I could
Really?
probably like complain and be like, come on, but I don't dislike the way the 5-spoke
Right.
57 CR looks, so I'm happy with it. But they want me running that one, and they
Okay.
pick the color every year.
Interesting.
I get like, I get an opinion on that if like, let's say a
Mhm.
sponsor had too much of one color. I'm like, we can't do that,
Mhm.
and then they will deviate to second choice. But yeah, so to answer his question, yes, I would, but I don't know that Rays will have me do it. Yeah.
No, it's true. There's a couple interesting questions here. Malik, do you think hybrid powertrains or hybrid turbo technology will make its way into professional drifting?
No, the hybrid turbo stuff's so expensive, but oh my God, that'd be cool if we had 48 volt system on the car that spooled the turbo from idle, and then that shut down at 3,500 when your other turbo came to life. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Like Mercedes has that factory right now,
Yeah, yeah.
and Borg Warner makes those turbos. So I like ask, and I'm sponsored with Borg Warner, and I ask them about it. They're like, yeah, it's just really expensive technology. And they just keep, I'm like, okay, so that's a no. I doubt it. It's
Yeah.
drifting doesn't have enough money for that stuff.
Not
It
yet,
just doesn't.
maybe, but you know.
Maybe later it would, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's OEMs involved now, so it's like
Yeah.
eventually we might get some cool stuff. Malik also asks, are there any other aspects within other motorsports that you would like to see incorporated into drifting? It's an interesting one that I haven't thought about.
I never really thought about that, but now I'm going to. Yeah, I'm sure there is, but right off the top of my head,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of
The
it.
only thing I can think of is like a Formula One style like back series or like a Drive to Survive version.
Oh,
for FD.
100% we want that. That we've been wanting, but
And
I don't
the
know,
money
they
to
just
do
don't-
that is yeah.
they haven't done it yet. I don't know
Yeah.
why they haven't attempted anything.
They could just like pay some of the media guys for their footage and then just have an editor.
Right. Yeah. Well,
But they need like they need all the drama behind the scenes and
Mhm.
everything.
That's like,
FD would get so famous if we did that.
yeah.
You guys look
You
it
could-
up on like YouTube. There's like these like in RDS. There's like these media guys that like do that, and it's just the media guys, and it's like Netflix like style and Netflix quality, and it's just a bunch of like Russian drivers and Russian media guys, and they just put it on YouTube. You should look it up. It's I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but it's brilliant. Okay,
He's like,
It
I
is
just
brilliant.
watch it. I can't understand it.
They
but I
got
keep watching it."
subtitles and everything, but it's like
Oh, okay.
beautiful video. It like got all the drama in it. And it's awesome, and I wish something was like that here. That would be fantastic.
I do wish there one thing that you just made me think of. I wish that there was like drama between drivers sometimes. And it was all like it was live, and we got to like. But
we get some helmets being thrown or something, you know.
There won't be, you know. I don't think there ever. It would have happened already.
Right. I mean,
Christoph
Blues isn't driving anymore, so it's like
to happen. He's so nice too, though. He just gets passionate.
Yeah.
Like, but if you think about in like grip race, road race stuff, they don't need each other at all at any part of anything. They just need the clock and their car.
Right.
Everyone else get the F out of the way. With drifting, I need you to lead me on a good lap so I can get a good chase, and you need me for my good lead so you can get a good chase, or you know, something similar to what I just said. So like, I feel like we are in this weird motorsport that's not like anything else, you know?
It's true, because you are relying on the other guy to win.
Your competitor, you need your competitor to do decent so you can beat him. Like, what the fuck is
that? Danny A says, bring the yellow wheels back.
Oh, man. They already decided my color for this year. It's not yellow, but
bummer.
I do want some bright yellow wheels, though. That'd be good.
Yeah, those were fantastic.
Damn, it's coming up quick. The first round. Is that at the end of March this year, or is it still April?
No,
April.
Don't
First
say that.
weekend of
Calm
April.
down. Calm down.
I'm excited.
It is coming up soon, but we have a couple weeks left. Calm down over there.
My fault.
Yeah, don't remind me. I still have so much to figure out.
Oh yeah, we still need our tripods back.
Oh yeah. Wait. For everyone that's watching, I might need a crew member. So if there's a good person that's not just a fan of drifting, they're good mechanically and they want to go to the racetrack a bunch of times this year, message me. Because we're looking for one guy.
Yep, hit him up on Instagram. It's underneath his name on the screen. You should check it out. So I had a kind of an interesting scenario. Just a kind of a question. So like, okay, let's say I had something that came with a JZ stock from the factory, and I wanted to I put a stock JZ in something. What are your first mods to make it a reliable? Horsepower is not really an issue. I just want it to be reliable for drifting. What mods are you doing to the 2JG to make it bulletproof?
It needs to have a rear sump oil pan.
Okay.
That is probably all, and it needs to be a little bit over full of oil, like half a quart over, and that's all you need.
Okay, you don't need to change any of the other mechanical side of it or anything. You think
not really. I mean, if it was like a high mileage, you should put an oil pump on it or something, and check the seals and whatnot. But if it was a rear sump oil pan JZ, or if it wasn't, you put a rear sump on it, it's gonna be extremely reliable in drifting, and just keep doing what you ask it to do year after year after year.
Gotcha. Actually got a question. I think Brandon was gonna ask this one. Mullet, is it here forever?
Yeah, I think I'm stuck with it at this point. At first I did it because I thought it was funny and I liked the 80s. Then as time went on, it was like my signature thing. And then as time went on further, everyone has a mullet now. And you're like, oh, cool. So now it's back in style, even though I was doing it when it wasn't in style. So then I'm just like everyone else now. And I'll just keep it until just keep it. Yeah.
You ever gonna go bald, dude?
If I go bald, we'd shave it, like, because I can't have a skullet though, you know.
That's right, baby. See, you gotta own that shit.
So when I go bald, I'll just be like, time to shave my head or whatever.
There you
it
go.
down to nothing.
Chrome to the dome.
Yeah.
Phil asks, is there any practice training you do to prepare for FD? I assume you guys practice at OSW. I assume is like the track that you
Yeah,
guys.
I basically try and drive as much as I can. Get like one of my cars to the track and practice with someone else. It's not like a set regimented thing if that's what he's asking. It's just
Right.
based on like how many tires I can get and how
Yeah.
much time I have to get there. But yeah, for sure I'm trying to get seat time. And when I do go to the track, I will typically do like 8 lead laps, maybe 4. I'm just gonna chase that's all I do is
Right.
chase.
Mhm.
The last 2 years, any track day I go to, I don't even, if I could do 0 lead laps, I'd be set. But like you have to do some, you know?
Yeah. You were actually at Adams not that long ago. What's it like driving over there? Drifting to this little place.
It's fun. It's like a technical, like it's pretty sketchy because you're gonna go as fast as you can get your car to go, and there is palm trees that are like right off the edge of the cement. So like, if you're gonna make a mistake, you might get sucked in and be like, bam, bam. But we're not gonna do any of that. But yeah, I mean, you could.
Somebody else could do all that, but
yeah, they can do that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool to have over there. Just a place to go run with the homies.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Now you have like you got a full place. Like, how far away is he from you?
Adam's not close. Adam's 109 miles from me, maybe.
okay.
So like 2 hours. The coolest thing that happened for me in the last couple months for like drifting is Leadfoot City. That track is, I think it's 30 miles from me, and it takes like, it's not like a direct hit to get on the freeway. So like it takes me a second to get to the freeway, but it's 45 minutes with a truck and trailer. I'm at the track, and I like kind of helped promote it a little bit here and there for him. So he's like, anytime you need it, come down. You can use the skid pad to test your car, or if you and some friends want to drive to practice when we're not doing anything, I have it ready for you. The owner said this. So like, it's not a circuit track. It's like a 5-acre skid pad, but like that's like major because I've been drifting for like, a long time now, like 12, 13, 15 years, didn't have that. So I'm pumped on that.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
like
that's
that's really cool to be able, and like obviously Florida, it seems like it's growing in terms of the drifting scene over there. Because it's there's a lot of big people out there now. It just seems like, and like there's a lot of
for sure growing. Yeah. It's almost every other weekend you could probably go drive, but I mean, depends who you're driving with, but you could be at a drift event every other weekend.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Damn.
All right. Well, I think we've made it to my favorite part of the show, and it's always my favorite question to ask is, do you have an Andy Luck story from Formula Drift?
Like where he personally directed all his anger at me, I got to watch something cool happen.
Any story with Andy Luck? Your favorite story with Andy Luck involved?
My favorite story with Andy Luck is probably, I'm trying to think of the year here. It's probably 2015 or 16 at OSW. It's packed, like people everywhere, and we are like, the entrance exit to the track. We are a little bit. Let's say you're driving into the entrance exit of the track. We'd be to the right side, like closer to where you're gonna warm up your tires, like on that corner there. And there's a dude with a drone, which at this point drones are like fresh, brand new. Not many people have them, and there isn't enough rules set in place for it. And this dude has a drone, and he's like flying it back down to get to himself, and Andy just jumps out of like the crowd of people, grabs it out of the air, slams it on the ground, smashes it, destroys it, and goes, "Get this shit and clean this up and get out of here. If I catch you again, you're kicked out of
Oh my god.
And I'm just like, because I was like, well, how many hundreds of dollars did he just destroy? And the guy like didn't answer. He just was like, and like wanted to say something. One of his friends wanted to say something. Andy's just like ready to yell in their face, and they just kind of, okay. And I was like, well, fuck, you don't mess with Andy.
That's amazing. I
Damn.
mean, I just love anytime we bring him up. It's just like somebody everyone lights up and they're like, oh my gosh, I remember this one time, you know.
I have like 5 more, but that would be the one that I was like blown away. Like, you just fucked up this dude's drone, but whatever. Yeah.
He just went full hostile. Yeah, and the
He
best
does
part
that.
is though is that he is such a teddy bear. Like he really is such a kind man. And like
Yeah.
it's funny that like the first thing that like anybody thinks like when they ask the question like, all right, like what's your Andy Luck story? Is like, all right, well, which one can I tell? It's like, but ultimately, we have so many other like, I guess, it's not mundane, but he is nice all the time.
He's
And
always nice,
but
but
if
then
you
these
fuck up,
blow-ups, yeah.
it's like if you do fuck up, he's going to let you know that you did, and that you'll
Beyond
remember that you did.
anything you've ever experienced. Yeah. He's like, he'll just be like, take it too far every time kind of guy, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's fun to watch.
Oh, Malik
Thankfully, I've
actually
never
had
been on
had a
TV.
question I wanted to quick grab. Clutch Kickers, just kind of your opinion on it trying to come back, and is it something that you think you might do?
Yeah, it's not too like my opinion on it coming back. It seems like they're dragging their feet because they talked about it a bunch, but it doesn't. I don't think nothing's happened yet, right?
Other than like location wise, I haven't heard too much. Yeah,
but I don't think that the track, it's Mid Pond or whatever it's called in Alabama, that's not that far from me. So for sure, I would go to it at least once
test
or
it
twice.
out. Yeah. Mhm.
With probably not my main car because I don't know when it would schedule wise. Maybe it could be the main car, but
Yeah.
depends schedule wise. But for sure, I would try and get to at least one of them. And if
Right.
there's money to be made like it used to be, then I'll probably try and go to many more than one of them. You know?
Yeah. Oh
Oh, yeah.
man. Yeah.
That's good for sponsors.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
but
that's true.
you know,
It's like a win-win. Good seat time. You could win money, and sponsors like that you're out
you
there.
get the
with their-
content and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I made
Oh,
it to 2 before, like, because it was still going when I made it to Florida. So I went to 2 of them
Yeah.
down at Cletus's. So
What's
Yeah.
your like favorite other than FD, like, or even FD, throw that in the pot, but like what's your most like fun that you have while driving? Like Grid Life, Hyperfest,
I don't like
LZ
those as
Fest.
much. I like competition for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's
the adrenaline.
crazy.
It is the pressure, I think,
Yeah.
is what it is. So like the Grid Life, I went to only one, and it was Gingerman, and there's too many cars on the track, and like it's dangerous. Like
It's
I thought
smoky all the time.
the whole time I was like, I don't think I should have brought my car into this. Like, why am I doing this? And then there was 2 times you watched an accident happen in front of you, and you're like, I'm gonna park it for a while because you're just thinking like that's I don't know. So maybe I had a bad experience, and I should go to Laguna Seca and test that out because that one looks like a blast, and you get these high speed entries. But that Gingerman one, I was kind of like shaken up almost because it was so wild, like how many cars kept coming in and out when you were like passing it's like, why do you let them out? And when you're like flying past with 4 cars. And so then Hyperfest was a blast, but I don't know, the competition stuff's more fun for me. So I liked Clutch Kickers, I like the Riverside Drifts. I'm sure I would like Gamblers. I just haven't made it up there to do one.
Yeah.
Right.
That kind of stuff's usually going to be more fun for me.
Interesting.
Would you ever be interested in somehow, if you had the chance of doing like across the pond, like in a Drift Masters competition?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but I don't have a sponsor that's going to pay me to do that, and I can't pay for that. And most of my way through drifting, I did like, I'm the truck driver, I'm the crew chief, I work on my car mostly until we're at the track. I I'll like, that's too much on me. I can't do it.
Yeah,
100%.
and then on top, and then Renee as well
Yeah.
too, like doing everything. It would be
Yeah.
double the load too.
I would have to not do FD and only do like 2 rounds of Drift Masters or something, but that won't give you the same satisfaction as FD. So
Right.
we're in America.
Yeah.
I'll keep doing FD.
Mhm.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask. Well, one other question that I had was, what was the state of the car after Irwindale? Was it, like, do you
Ooh, it's due for the frame shop any day now.
really?
Yeah. It
That bad?
drives. It's just
Yeah.
bent. Like,
Yeah, you did
The
get back out there again.
yeah, but it was like a 70%er or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good from
works.
afar, but far from good.
Yeah, and the alignment was all, yeah, it wasn't.
Crab
But
walking down the road.
yeah, I redid the alignment when I got home, and I like put on the lift, looked at everything, and it has like 4 stress fractures in the rear subframe. The rear driver's strut is down like an inch, and it's in a little bit. The C pillar on the driver's side is in like an inch and a half, so the hatch sticks way over the top where they're supposed to like meet up.
Yeah.
And then the front passenger strut tower is up like an inch, so it's like
Jeez.
it's nice and tweaked, but it's like it's just metal. It'll bend back, and it's not bent
Right.
so much that it would like tear when you're pulling it.
Yeah.
It just needs to be on the frame machine. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for my appointment for that. Yeah.
Take it into the doctor, get it fixed. You know.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
He's got the stress fractures. He's got the appointments ready to go.
Yeah.
Take it to the doctor.
It'll be fine. It's been on the frame machine 2 other times. It doesn't care.
Yeah, she's all soft now. She's
Yeah.
ready. To
Yeah.
It's fine.
Awesome,
Poor
man.
thing.
Well, we've
Yeah.
almost hit our 2-hour mark here, but like again, thank you so much for having on. This was a lot of fun. Just shooting the shit, talking stories, and maybe hopefully learning a couple things too. Like I learned a couple things, and it was good. And for any 2J needs, I think you guys know the guy to contact. Honestly. But
Yep, we'll take care of you.
yeah, exactly. Do you want to just give them like a quick breakdown on, first off, what's going on with you right now on the channel, and then obviously obviously what your business offers, and what kind of like what I guess just a quick pitch on the business.
So the business we're trying to just be like as much as we can be like a one-stop e-commerce website that you could get most of your needs for your race car, or
Right.
modifying your race car that might drive on the street or whatever.
Yep.
And then we're always trying to evolve that and add new stuff to that, but that's what it is. And then there is a lot of specialty parts we created for 2Js, and that would be like in our billet parts section or our kit section. And then for my channel, we're gonna start doing like the breakdown of the car and what we have to do to refresh it. That'll be like coming soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You got
And
YouTube?
then yeah, that's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's just Rad Industries is our YouTube. And we did film the day we were at Adams. We're just a little behind, so that's gonna go up next. I think it's our next video.
What, you mean you don't have it out next day? Come on now, man.
Nah, we don't have enough people. I'm not like a YouTube career guy, but we do YouTube.
Yeah, even when he was shooting it himself and then editing it himself, I'm like, I don't know how he does it or did it like without like
I don't
this
know
dude
how to
now.
edit, so
like-
I'm not that. Yeah, but I don't know how. When someone does a video a day, I'm just like, what? How the hell is this possible? But they do it. That's what
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Oh man. Well, like I said, thank you again for coming on, man. It's been a blast. Herbie and Brandon, what you guys got going on?
Same old shit.
Is everyone in the same time zone? Are we all East Coast or not?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is.
Yeah,
It is relatively late for us, which is, well, not that late, but like
Well,
it's like,
not late, dude.
I know. I'm still gonna stay up and do
But
other stuff.
are the
afterwards.
viewers like 50-50, like West Coast, East Coast, or what's it like?
A lot
I
of
feel
East
like it's
Coast,
more
but
East Coast. Yeah.
yeah, but
Okay.
it kind of depends on who we have on as well.
Okay.
And like
Mhm.
some of those people will come on and you know talk and ask
Yeah.
questions and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's like it's a great range of people, and like the whole goal of this is to just continuously do it consistently. We've been doing a really good job doing every Tuesday. Now we're going to be doing every Thursday, and just bringing people content that they aren't usually able to get. I mean, obviously, how many questions did we get asked from the chat? Like it's a
lot,
it's a really fun experience to where we get to ask people get to ask what they want to know like live, and it's like
Yep.
okay, not that you don't respond necessarily to your Instagram, but like not everyone does, and it's like okay, they get to ask a question and we actually get a response. It's kind of cool to do it.
Even
It's
for
cool
me
to
with
be
my
a
little
part of it.
following, I miss like requested messages. I'm like, damn, that was sent 2 weeks ago. My fault.
Don't you hate that? It's like, why
Yeah,
can't you show me these
yeah,
requests?
yeah.
But they hide it from you,
Yeah.
so you got to dig for them.
Literally, yeah. I'm never looking because it's always the same group chat of some
Yeah.
bad woman that wants to date me for no reason.
You're like, delete. delete.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh wow, look at that needle in the haystack. Okay, that guy.
Oh man, gotta love it, man. But yeah, again, this has been a really fun, just
Yeah.
whole experience doing the live stream stuff, and it adds a different element that hopefully people are
I had
enjoying.
fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
No,
hanging,
thank
dude.
thanks for coming on. I mean, next week we have some fun guests. I just gotta obviously make sure confirm. Dealing with you guys, it's kind of interesting because your schedules fluctuate. Let's just say, and so like,
Everybody. I think that's everybody
Yeah.
in this
Everybody.
industry.
yeah, and it's just
honestly.
like I think I'll be
Go-
free, but it's like, but I also might go take the car out. So we'll see. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
bud.
like,
Well,
we're a little more northern East Coast, so like ours is pretty solidified in the off season where it's just too fucking cold to do anything
I
else.
could
So
never live there.
dude, it's
Yeah.
awful. Yeah, it's.
yeah.
I mean, I have
get
a
mad
bunch of
when
shit
it's
in my
48
garage.
degrees. I'm
Dude,
like,
oh.
ah. You guys
I
are like
would
12 or 6 or -5 last week or this week,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Ah.
I would on a drop of a dime go anywhere that it's warmer.
Yeah, because it's like
Take
I
one
Do it.
backpack. I would take one backpack. I'd be like, here we go.
right, and I have a bunch of shit in my garage. I need to go work on my car and fix a bunch of stuff, but it's like 4 degrees out, and I'm like, I really
Yeah,
don't
hell
want to.
no.
I don't want to go
Yeah.
work on that.
Why?
You're gonna
4
bang your
degrees,
knuckle
your
one
hand- like-
time. Yeah.
Your hands are just numb, and you're like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
It's bad,
no.
but
No, I can't.
but again, thank you guys everyone for coming on, and we're probably gonna end off the stream here. And if you guys want to go check out anything QJ, message him, talk to him.